Hi, friends. I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking for a jumping off point for a new way of living that helps you do less in order to enjoy more of your life, you've come to the right place. Let's just spend the next few minutes together to not only dream about a simpler life, but to talk about real ways we can make it happen so you can focus on what truly matters most. I've been thinking a lot about the idea of home and what that means. What makes a house or any kind of living space, that place where we keep our things, where we might live solo or with family or with friends, the place where we lay our heads down at night to rest. What makes that place a home? I've come to believe that home isn't defined by the size of your space or how much stuff you have in it or even your location. We've all heard that saying, home is where the heart is, and I think that's a really sweet way to look at it. But what does it really mean? Ultimately, I think this is what defines home for me. Home is where you feel like your best self. When we think about our home, we want it to be comfortable and safe. We want it to be warm and welcoming. We want it to be a place that we look forward to at the end of a long day or appreciate when we're confined to it for a long period of time. Looking at you, 2020. And sometimes the place we call home might not be what we always dreamed of. It might be smaller than we dreamed. We might not be near the beach or nestled in the mountains. You might be in a place where the landlord won't let you put nails in the wall. But I firmly believe that you can take steps to define your space no matter where you find yourself. You can mold it into a place that refreshes your soul. You can shape it into a place that helps you find comfort when you need a retreat from the world. Little by little, you can piece it together so that your home is a reflection of who you are and what's important to you. Like most things, defining your space might take a little work to make your home become that kind of space. Some of that work is physical, like getting the right things into the right places, creating an order in your home that suits your life and makes the daily process of living, sleeping, eating, etc. enjoyable. But some of that work is more intangible. It's looking inside and deciding what makes you happy. And for most of us, it really has nothing to do with stuff. Actually, I found that it's more about peace. That feeling like everything feels right, at least in my little corner of the world at this very moment. I'm always looking for more of that in my life. I think the first time we gain a true sense of what home means is when we move away from a place we consider to be our real home base. Whether it's a childhood home or another place filled with meaning, somewhere we lived that held landmarks in our lives, like babies born, careers established, or roots put down. And sometimes we feel like we're not sure where home is when we lose that place. Sometimes it's hard to find that feeling of home when we go through an unexpected life change, a new job, a divorce, caring for an elderly parent, something that throws us into a completely different place than we've ever experienced before. In my early 20s, I remember when I left my home in Pensacola, Florida, where my whole family was, and I moved to Tampa to be with my husband. Up to that point, Brian and I had been doing a long-distance relationship, and I didn't make a lot of friends when we first moved there. In fact, I had a really hard time making friends, and I wonder if any of you can relate to this. I was just starting to get my feet under me, career-wise, and I felt like every woman I met in Tampa had it all together. I didn't feel like I measured up. And it took me a little while to form those meaningful friendships, to decide who I was as a married woman, as an entrepreneur, and eventually as a new mom. As time went on, my sense of home shifted with who I was. And I was slowly able to allow all these new things to shape my idea of home. And after several years, our family left Tampa to move to Pensacola, back to my original hometown. And even though I was excited to go back to Pensacola and share that place with my kids, there was a part of me that felt sad. Tampa was the place where Brian and I had begun to build our marriage. It was the place where we had our babies and watched them take their first steps. I ended up making some wonderful friends in Tampa that I had to leave behind. Tampa had become a place that was meaningful to my growth, and when we moved to Pensacola, once again, I had to create that new sense of what home was, since I was different than when I had left for Tampa years earlier. At those points in our journey, when we find ourselves in new places, either physically or emotionally, we might lose our sense of home and pine for what we once thought was home. That makes things tough if we stay in that place, because then we always feel a sense of something missing. But the reality is, wherever we are, we all have exactly the right tools for creating home, and it lies within each of us. I think it's important to take time and look inward and decide what needs to be in place to make where we live a true home, that true reflection of who we are, so we can get to that cozy feeling of peace that I talked about earlier and decide what we need to thrive. You know, it's funny, and just go with me here for a second because I'm going to lay down an old term that you might know but has really fallen out of fashion, and I'm going to see if we can polish it and make it new. So the work you do in and for your home, cultivating that space full of order and love, is called homemaking. Now, forget the 1950s images of Mrs. Cleaver in pearls and an apron, waiting at the front door to take her husband's coat and spread a 4-course dinner on the table. Here's the actual definition of homemaking. It's the creation and management of a home, especially as a pleasant place in which to live. I love the bold simplicity of that definition. I believe it's what we all want for our homes. We want spaces that are thoughtfully crafted, orderly, and well-managed so they foster life, love, and memories. If that's what we all want, why can't we just snap our fingers and make it happen? Sometimes I think we get the idea that if we have all the right stuff, then our home will feel the way we want it to, but I don't think that's true. Surrounding ourselves with too many things leads to clutter and can end up stifling us in all areas of life. If we're being honest, we all own far more stuff than we probably actually need. Each item in our home takes our attention away from the item next to it, regardless of its use or value. So try this with me for a sec. Imagine walking inside your house, ready for a quiet evening, and visualize what you might see. Maybe you see a bookshelf overflowing with magazines and knickknacks. Maybe days of unopened mail are stacked on your counter. You might see dishes in the sink, random spare keys hanging on the rack, and kitchen gadgets scattered across the counter. And before you even set down your purse, your space has overwhelmed you. Every item requested your attention. They all reminded you of something you need to do and distracted you from what really matters, relaxing and resting after a long day. I spent the last few years really immersed in this topic. Decluttering, simplifying, cleaning out the old, the extra, and the unnecessary, and making way for the good, the best, and the favorite. Giving it room to shine and sing in your life, reflecting, like we talked about, your best and truest self. If you're in the process of creating and defining a new space in your life right now, or refreshing an old into a life that you deserve, I want you to know that I've lived that journey too. It's hard. It's life-changing, almost to the point that it's hard to put into words what committing yourself to a simpler life will help. You know I'm all about giving you practical tools and tips and ideas that fit your actual life on this podcast. So right now, I'm going to give you 7. So here are 7 good things to remember as you think about defining your space with a mind toward simplicity. Number 1. Simple does not equal small. Number 2, simple does not equal mundane. Number 3, simple does not equal boring. Number 4, simple does not equal settling. Number 5, simple is rich and beautiful. Number 6, simple is easier. Number 7, simple is refreshing. A living space that is defined by simplicity has an ease about it, even when life throws curveballs. This is a home where the spaces have purpose, and the items in those spaces are brought together intentionally to bring a sense of function and rhythm. A simple space is soothing and foundational. A home defined by simplicity is a sturdy foundation where we can build ambition, creativity, and adventure on top. Don't we all want that? I know I want that for myself, and I want that for my kids. Give me the calmness and comfort of a home and family built on things that are steadfast and true, on faith, on love, and on character. What a respite your home can be when the rest of the world feels really complicated and sometimes unexplainable. And if I can control, to some extent, what happens inside the walls of my home, then step aside. I have work to do and I'm all in. I want every room in my home, every space in my house, every cabinet, every closet, every bed, every bathroom to feel lived in, welcoming, and lovely. I don't mean like fancy designer lovely, but lovely in the sense of colors and patterns that make me smile, photographs and artwork that evoke a memory or a feeling, and the clarity and inspiration that comes with all of that. You deserve a home that is simple, clean, organized, and lovely. It doesn't matter if you're in a tiny home or a big home, an apartment or a farmhouse, if you have 6 cats and 12 kids or live solo, your home should be a place of rest and respite, an escape from the outside world. I love this quote from the poet Warsan Shire, and I hope I said that name right. At the end of the day, it isn't where I came from. Maybe home is somewhere I'm going and have never been before. Wherever you are in your journey to defining your space, putting that structure around the place that brings you peace and rest, I would love to pray a little blessing over you and leave you with some kind words as you find your own unique sense of home. May your home be a place of love, of light, and of laughter. May those who enter the doors of your home feel welcome, safe, and seen. Wherever life takes you, I pray you will always have a sense of home you can take to each destination, and that each space you inhabit reflects the special person that you are and the good you bring into the world. So as you think about making home, the keeping of home, I'll leave you, like I always do, with one simple action step you can take today to develop that sense of home. If you're looking to reinvigorate your attitude toward where you live, look at the way your space is laid out. Is there any way you could rearrange furniture or even get rid of furniture to make your home work better for your lifestyle and family? Remember this, your home should be a place of rest. Home is where we go to rejuvenate, recharge, reconnect, and rest. It should feel comfortable and fresh. That doesn't mean that you need to spend a ton of money on decorations or new furniture. It simply means that you need to make what you have work for you. Once you feel good about the way the big pieces are laid out, make sure everything else has a home. Do you have random things brought from previous moves that aren't getting used or don't have a place? Dump everything from these places in a laundry basket and slowly start to put away and sort them. That's a good place to start, right? Thank you for listening to the Simplified podcast. I hope this conversation helped you as you're looking to make home a place you can't wait to, get home to. You can find me on Instagram at Emily Lay and at emilylay.com, where you can find show notes from each episode, links and resources that are mentioned here, and you can shop the Simplified brand of products. So we are just days away from the release of my new book, and I am so excited to share it with you guys. It's so special. It's called Growing Boldly, Dare to Build a Life You Love, and it comes out March 23rd. You guys, life is short, and like we talked about today, you are worthy of building a life you love, just like you deserve a home you love. Before I let you go, I hope you'll click over to Apple Podcasts and leave a glowing review of this podcast. We're 5 whole episodes in, and I'd love to hear what you think. If what we've been talking about has been meaningful to you, and it'd mean so much to me if you'd leave a review there so that we can get this into lots of new hands. If this is your first time listening, we hope you'll come back. If you've been with us from the beginning, we are so glad to have had this time with you in the early weeks of our show. See you next time. Bye.